Good evening, feeble-minded Earthlings, and welcome to another episode of the Intergalactic Review. My name is Imperial Starbeast, and if you're receiving this transmission, it's because I've taken over your mind, and we are now interacting as one. Tonight I'd like to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. The latest chapter in the Disney Plus Star Wars universe follows bounty hunter Boba Fett and his counterpart mercenary Fennec Shand. After Boba's triumphant return in The Mandalorian, the 7-part spin-off aims to rectify the death of Boba from the Sarlacc pit.
I am not a bounty hunter.
In the aftermath of Jabba's death, Boba sets out to make a name for himself by establishing a new empire with him at the top. His efforts are met with resistance from the vacuum of criminality that plagues Tatooine.
I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer.
The series navigates the political struggle around claiming Jabba's old turf and taking down the crime syndicate that stands in his way.
I intend to rule with respect.
In February of 2013, Disney CEO Bob Iger announced the development of several Star Wars standalone spin-offs. One was reportedly centered around the bounty hunter Boba Fett. Lucasfilm was scheduled to reveal a teaser for the project at Star Wars Celebration in 2015, but this was canceled at the last minute. Following the financial failure of Solo: A Star Wars Story in 2018, Disney reconsidered their Star Wars film output. By October, the Book of Boba Fett was no longer moving forward, and Lucasfilm was prioritizing the Disney Plus streaming series The Mandalorian instead. After the show's success, spin-offs were being considered, and there was potential to add more characters to the series. Temuera Morrison was set to appear as Boba Fett in the second season. Things were looking great for executive producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, as they were turning the corner from the divisive sequel trilogy under Kathleen Kennedy. The show highlights the directing talents of Robert Rodriguez, Steph Green, Kevin Tancheroni, and Filoni himself, with the most notable episode in the series directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. Riding the coattails of The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett attempts to establish Boba back into the cinematic Star Wars universe. The last time we saw Fett, he was bouncing off Jabba's sail barge and rolling into the Sarlacc pit, left to digest for 1,000 years. The show picks up with little to no time elapsed in his storyline. Morrison said the series was an opportunity to explore the character's past, adding Fett's simmering kind of violence and desire for revenge, as well as his loneliness, which was caused by watching his father die at a young age. Unfortunately, Fett arrived on the scene a little too late, as Disney had already placed their bets on another Mandalorian, Din Djarin, played by Pedro Pascal, who eagerly stepped into the ruthless bounty hunter role with gusto.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
By this time, Mando's bounty arc was well established, and it left little room for another mercenary-type storyline, presenting the opportunity to rebrand the once fearless mercenary into the head of Jabba's crime syndicate. With the show's long cast of characters, I'll focus my attention on the character portrayal of Boba Fett and Fennec Shand without giving away any spoilers. I love how detailed Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are when it comes to continuity within the Star Wars universe. With much anticipation, Temuera Morrison was reprised as Boba Fett after playing Jango in the prequels. He also went on to provide the voice of Boba in various Star Wars media. Also, archival footage of Daniel Logan as a young Fett, filmed for Attack of the Clones in 2002, was used in Boba's flashbacks. The fandom's long wait to see a live-action Boba was met with celebration and praise when he was introduced in Chapter 14, The Tragedy of The Mandalorian. Surprisingly, the portrayal we got of Boba in his own show was played with so much passivity that he's hardly recognizable absent his iconic armor. For me, the long wait was a major disappointment. And I don't feel the fault lies with Temuera, but in his character's abrupt directional change to a one with a more pragmatic outlook. If we go back to events leading up to the show, Boba brought a frozen Han to Jabba, after completing a bounty from direct orders of none other than Darth Vader. He was a mercenary, looking out for no one but himself. Boba's current portrayal paints him as a humble man seeking redemption, and is now ready to lead with respect. A leader that's willing to seek diplomacy before picking up a weapon.
He's no good to me dead.
I guess time spent slowly digesting in a Sarlacc pit can change a bounty hunter's perspective on life. Writers went to great lengths to bring Fennec Shand back from her presumed death in The Mandalorian, and for me it pays off. Ming-Na Wen's cold and direct demeanor works well alongside Tamora Morrison on screen. When Boba is reluctant to act as a mercenary, Fennec quickly steps into the role when needed.
I advise you to weigh your next words carefully.
Her effort to get things done, no matter how dirty, is what stole the show for me. Filming began in late 2020, and after 2 weeks, members of the cast and crew learned they were making the Book of Boba Fett, rather than Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Production took place on the Stagecraft video wall in Los Angeles named The Volume. Harnessing an on-set virtual production technology composed of a video wall designed by Industrial Light and Magic. Initially developed for The Mandalorian, the production team can realign the background instantly based on moving camera positioning. The entire CG background is run by a sophisticated game engine by Epic Games and can be manipulated in real time. Actors can interact with the backgrounds opposed to elaborate green screens Lucas used during the prequels. This new technology is groundbreaking, and the show utilizes a seamless blend of CGI backgrounds with practical effects to make the universe consistent with what Lucas created in 1977. Easter eggs are dropped all over the series, including a cameo of R3X from Galaxy's Edge, the Max Rebo Band playing a tune inside the Sanctuary, along with a BD droid to name a few. The unique cast of droids and aliens is always a welcome sight, and this is one aspect of Star Wars that I'll never get tired of. From the amazing hair and makeup to the incredible creature effects, each character brought to life is amazing in their own right. Notable, Black Chrysanthemum's portrayal on film looks incredible, and the opportunity to dive deeper into the Tusken Raiders is rewarding. The series did not disappoint in bringing to life these wonderful creatures. The overall look and feel of the series is aesthetically pleasing and imaginative. The newly developed Pike Syndicate is a fresh idea and continues to add more lore to the growing Star Wars universe, not to mention the amazing look and feel of its many new environments. The final episode of the series does an incredible job of giving us more of the desert planet we know and love. The massive droids interact with the practical effects in an entertaining way. It's night and day from the prequel era. My biggest complaint about the production resides solely on the design of the infamous biker gang. For me, the show struggled to fit them into the Star Wars universe. The group of cyberpunk characters comes across as something we see hanging out with Biff Tannen from Back to the Future 2. None of the characters are menacing in any way, and I struggle to remember anyone's name after the first viewing. While I can appreciate the attempt to bring something new to Tatooine, the final result left more to be desired. Ludwig Göransson returned to score the Book of Boba Fett alongside Joseph Shirley. Göransson is credited as having composed the main themes for the series, with Shirley credited as a composer. Jon Favreau initially instructed Göransson to provide a little grittier, a little edgier, and a little more tech-oriented soundtrack to The Mandalorian. The follow-up is a soundtrack that creates a similar Western feel that's unique in its own right. The Book of Boba Fett was nominated for its outstanding achievement in sound mixing and sound editing, all of which is owed the credit to the incredible team of sound engineers.
You all accrued wealth and riches under Jabba.
Costume designer Shauna Tropic was nominated for Excellence in Sci-Fi Fantasy Television at the Costume Designers Guild Awards in 2021.
Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett's amazing set design and creature effects are on par with the Disney Star Wars universe. The first 2 episodes filling in Boba's backstory was enough to draw me in, but my excitement quickly faded with the plot's even-keel storyline and slow pacing. I was left questioning Jon Favreau's writing at the conclusion of Episode 3 in the mods of Mos Vespa. Thankfully, we finally get a vengeful Boba at the halfway point that awakens me from my coma. Episode 5 and 6 are the season's highlights, and an unexpected turn of events brought some much-needed badassery back to the show. It was enough to sustain me through the back half of the season, all to the disappointment of Boba fans everywhere. But the show does a great job revealing a lot of surprise characters the fans of the expanded universe will be thrilled to see in live adaptation. I realize the need to flesh out Boba's backstory, but the constant use of flashbacks caused the show to drag at the halfway point. I feel this could have been accomplished with a more dedicated focus at the season's opening. The struggle to make sense of Boba's current storyline leads me to believe Jon Favreau didn't fully understand the story he set out to tell, or it wasn't as important as Boba's decisions he made to get there. The series functions as a good buffer between The Mandalorian Season 2 and its much-anticipated third season, my biggest complaint being the constant death and revival of characters within the Star Wars universe. The Boba Fett I imagined failed to materialize in the series, but to be honest, how could it? We're talking about a character with 6 minutes of screen time surrounded by almost 40 years of mystery. His reluctance to fight first and his warm-hearted personality wasn't what I was expecting to see. After all, this is a space western. I came in expecting Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I left with Glenn Campbell's Rhinestone Cowboy. For these reasons, I'm giving the Book of Boba Fett a B-. Thank you for participating, and please stay tuned for more sci-fi movie reviews. Until then, drop me a comment below and tell me why you love or hate the Book of Boba Fett. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, because this transmission may be the only one you hear from space.